Welcome back to Lupus Has No Face, the podcast where we talk about real life, real struggle, and the power behind living with lupus and beyond. I'm your host, Savannah Burtz, and today's conversation is way overdue. We'll be talking about something that's so very dear to our hearts, but what we little understand: nonprofits. Yes, you heard me, nonprofits. What is a nonprofit? How do we know who's genuine? And what does it mean for us in the lupus community? We are joined here today with my sister, Miss Dr. Gurrola is in the building today. She will be coming with both knowledge and heart in this space, okay? So get your ear pods, get comfortable, and let's dive into it. Hello!
Good evening. You got me again. Aren't you lucky?
I mean, you are so beautiful and so important. I mean, you may be here a couple times. That's what happens when you are a very important
Maybe
person.
to you, I can't say that everybody feels that way, but we don't care tonight.
We don't. Perception is reality, right? So, before we dive into all of this, tell us, you are in the beautiful where and enjoying the beautiful what?
I'm in Tampa. I'm in Tampa at a leadership conference. I arrived today and I'll be here for a week. So it will be a lot of work, a lot of classes. I like to learn. I'm a life learner, as they say. But it is a sorority thing down here and frat thing down here in Tampa.
You see why I love having you, because you stay up to date on education, okay? Just want to let the people know. We gotta give you kudos when kudos is due. What we'll be talking about today, what is important in the lupus community when it comes to nonprofits, right? So there's absolutely nowhere to start but just to start educating them. So I'm going to kind of like pivot a little bit. I chose you today to talk about this subject because you are well overqualified to talk about this due to all the education that you have.
Did you say overqualified, Savannah?
Overqualified. You know how they say overqualified when they don't want to pay you the right dollars.
You was looking at that transcript.
That transcript was very impressive, but I wasn't surprised. Because what are you doing now? Learning.
What am I learning now?
I said, because what are you doing now? You're learning. You're being educated on something.
I'm learning something that I already know from my doctorate program, but to rise up in the organization, you need to get credentials and certifications in things like leadership, organizational change, conflict resolution, those type of things. So although I feel I'm well versed in that, I have to go through the chain for this organization that I'm attached to today.
Well, I wish you all well. Get some rest while you are doing your thing. So we're going to start with, for people that may not know what exactly is a nonprofit organization, how does it work or compare to a for profit. So we want to know what it is and what's the difference.
Well, a nonprofit or not-for-profit, however you want to say it, it's the same thing. Organization is one that is created based on a need. So it could be a social need, it can be a health need, it could be a cause. So whatever cause you're working for, health literacy, lupus, homeless children, whatever the cause is, that organization then will set up as a not-for-profit. And the only difference between the not-for-profit and the profit is the tax code or the tax status.
Gotcha. So with that being said, are you affiliated with any other nonprofits?
A few. I mean, I think, yeah. So let's see. Let's start with Disability Lead in Chicago. I'm affiliated with that nonprofit. That one is geared toward people with disabilities taking on leadership roles and teaching how to use your disability to lead. So that's one. Then we have Lupus Society of Illinois. That is a nonprofit. I would say mid-size nonprofit for lupus awareness and advocacy. And then there is Aspire, which is a nonprofit. That mission is to serve people with disabilities in the community. So more like the older disability community as far as housing and work development and, being transitioned and accepted into the community. And then we have Zeta Phi Beta sorority, which I'm here in Tampa on the leadership conference. And then I think you and I both have been established or familiar with Gamma Pi Rho Lupus sorority. So that's what, about 5 or 6? I stopped counting after 3. Look, I stopped counting after 3.
I was just gonna say that the count got done after 3.
I'm pretty active in all. I would say just recently I stepped back a little bit from one organization, but for the most part, I'm pretty active. I mean, I think you see me moving around, doing stuff.
Oh, for sure, I see you moving the ground. So that
Yeah.
leads me to my next question. In your experience, especially with new organizations, what are some of the most common mistakes nonprofits make?
I was really speaking with an attorney about this recently, but it's a wide gamut. It's a wide range. So I'll start from simple and go up complex. I think one simple thing is just doing the wrong paperwork, getting the paperwork incorrectly set up to do a nonprofit. Another common mistake, I think, is not paying enough attention to your mission and your vision and making sure that's aligned. So for people who don't know the difference, the mission is what you wish to accomplish, and the vision is going to be how you expect to get there, how to move from A to B. Another one is leadership. We need to, because people have degrees and experience, we still need to thoroughly check them out. And I see lots of mistakes with board, either nonprofits not having sufficient board members or not being able to vet them, not diversifying them. And then a big one I see is financial mismanagement. And so those are some common ones I've seen, and some of them I've had experience with. But yeah. And one that is like really, really kind of, it can hurt the business is not utilizing your talents and resources that you already have within your network, within your people, within that organization. So misaligning roles. So what I mean by that, because someone has the role of an accountant or the role of a CFO, um, they may not be the best fit for the role, even though they have that title. Title does not equate, title and position does not equal being able to do the role. But likewise, you have people, most leaders, believe it or not, most leaders hold no official title or position. It's in their relationship with other people. It's in the way they motivate and inspire other people that they are leadership. It's not that they are the vice president or the president or the CFO or the COO or any other 3-letter initial that you have in businesses.
I can attest to that. I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep like that. I've seen a lot of that. So
Yeah.
just to kind of like generalize, touch on some, but not point each one out. If you are truly making a mistake, can it easily be corrected? And would you be at fault for something that you didn't know?
I would say a lot of smaller startup nonprofits might make some mistakes, some glitches along the way because they're new, right? And they're learning. So some mistakes are, just minor and can be easily smoothed over. But then we have mistakes that are more egregious and require some ownership and some repair.
And what does that look like, for an example?
So I would just say I'm just going to give you some general nonprofits that have struggled in the past, right? Feed the Children, Wounded Warriors Project, Angel Food Ministries, Coleman, the breast cancer nonprofit, even Shriners Hospital, Relief Aids in other countries. So these are all nonprofits, and they may make a error in judgment. They may make an error in having a person whose interest lies with self versus community. And so when you have people like that on board, they reap benefits and rewards that they should not be entitled to. That can be expenses, that could be cars, that could be monetary, that can be using the organization's funds as their own private piggy bank. And those are some of the huge ones. And all those businesses that I just mentioned, they all had some financial mismanagement. And so, but they're all still in business because they handled that the right way. And usually that is by R's. Okay, the first one is responsibility. If your accountant or your CFO ran off with millions or thousands, that's not something you hide. Okay, that's something when you become aware, you have to be transparent with that, and you have to, rectify that with the public, with the stakeholders, with the donors, with the people that get support from this type of organization. And so a lot of that is taking that ownership. You know what? We became aware of this, and we're sorry it happened, and these are our steps going forward. And so usually after that, accepting the responsibility, they may go into a phase of restoring the faith and the trust, right, of all these people that believed in this mission and in this vision and have donated to this place, right? And so usually with that restoral, they'll have some meetings, they may bring in a consultant, they may offer some in-services or education to their staff to kind of like prevent this from happening again, or they may talk about some beefed up security measures or background checks or something along those lines, right? Then what you'll see is shifting of key people. You're going to see some organizational change, right? You're going to get probably some new leadership, or definitely a new CFO, right? That you're not going to keep the same one that ran off with millions, right?
Sure.
But this is going to happen in phases and steps. This is not going to be overnight thing. That's really, these type of transitions take months. They're building for months. And like I said, all those places I mentioned are still strong today, still have donor support, still have um, their service in the communities. It's because they were able to restore and restore that trust and faith, and retain their donors by being transparent and taking responsibility. And when we don't do that and we just go shift to say, oh, well, we'll just fire that guy and get a new guy. You can do it. I mean, businesses do it every day, but that's not the best way. And so for people in particular in the lupus community, we have a lot of nonprofits. It seems like every time I'm on Facebook, I see something new. And in a way that's good, because it's serving a need. We have a lot of online support groups. We have a lot of, we have social groups. We have sororities out there. We have small apparel stores out there that are set up as nonprofits versus profit. So you don't really know, okay, they sell these t-shirts and sell this gear, but okay, what goes into the community? You don't know. So I caution people in the lupus community just to really pay attention. If some organization or business has just, been amiss or been absent or, have slowed down, look into why that is. I would say for every bad one, you might have 5 good ones. So it's not to turn a negative eye, because we need the support, but we need the support the right way from the right people.
Absolutely. And that is very well said, because people don't know what to look for and they don't know how things should go. And like you said, it's a difference between restoring, repairing, and accepting responsibility, because that's just going into the world to say, listen, we made a
Yeah.
mistake that we wasn't aware of, but these are the steps that we're taking to move
Yeah.
forward, X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
versus firing that person, sweeping things
Yeah.
underneath the rug, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
you are more prone to trust the person that's being open and honest and transparent. So I
Exactly.
totally see.
And mistakes happen and people can forgive mistakes. However, it's usually when those things that I mentioned have been put in place by that organization. It's very hard. People have like so little um, finances, disposable income and disposable finances, right? Everything is tight. So they really make choices on where they're donating, who is it for, where is it going. And people, I don't know why, but people think I'm this great fundraiser. And it's really not that I'm a great fundraiser. It is because I've built great relationships with people. And they might not, I can say they might not care one darn thing about lupus, but they know me and they
They
trust
trust
me.
you.
So if I say, hey, I'm having a lupus walk, or hey, I'm doing this jazz concert for lupus awareness, they might not really have lupus on their radar to get the extra $20, $30 a month, right? But they know me. And so the true relationship is in the impact that you can make and what they think you will do, and the relationship, the networks. And that's really my core and what I do with, you know, like fundraising or walks or like rallying people behind the cause. Until I can sway them for the cause, sometimes it's just me and the relationship we built, whether it's through business, whether it's through the hospital, whether it's I grew up with you on 33rd Street, or I went to school with your daughter. Well, I didn't grow up on 33rd Street, but I'm just saying.
We know.
But it's the relationship. And just an example, you a couple weeks ago, you was in a room and you heard a couple people say some things, right? About me. It was the
I was just
relationship.
about to bring that up. I was just about to bring that up. Like you just it's on
Oh,
topic kind of, but you were graduating and you was doing an event to celebrate you. Instead of celebrating you, or celebrate other people by
yeah,
giving them scholarships.
yeah.
So that says right there, that says a lot about your character, period.
And that's how people know me. So when I am with an organization, like I mentioned 5 or 6, right, that I'm affiliated with. So when it's something that the way something is being done that I might not feel is right, it may pause me because I know that I got those people you saw that night. And if I say, hey, I need to raise $3,000 for XYZ, I want them to be able to trust that and know what I'm doing with that, and that they're going to see those reaps and rewards within the community or in the lupus community or at the walk or giving scholarships or whatever I'm doing. So a lot of times when you have a lot of people involved in an organization, it might be some conflicts with personalities, friendships, whatever. But I really just want people who can make decisions based on the business and not on emotion or personal.
For
Because
sure.
you don't have to like me personally. It's not about being right. It's about doing what's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of organizations, smaller ones, haven't grasped that. I don't see that because it's too personal, because a lot of the boards are families, cousins, in-laws, my cousin's sister's baby mama's son. Your
No
board
one is to
members,
really hold them responsible and accountable for the things that they
that's
are.
not how a nonprofit board should be made up. The nonprofit board should be made up of a variety of people from different sectors, from different areas. They should be diverse in age, race, backgrounds as it relates to their profession, or even if it's a stay-at-home mom, because all those different perspectives can bring fresh ideas and new way of doing things to the table. If you have all nurses or all factory workers or all accountants sitting on your board, or the mother, the father, the brother, and the sister, then when it comes time to make decisions, you're basing them on personal and emotions. You're not basing them on business. And that's what I see. And that's what I have a problem with.
So, you guys, if you are watching this, make sure you take some tips, and I'm sure we're going to be dropping some links in there for you guys can have some tips, right, to go look and see if your nonprofit is running correctly.
And again, we don't want, new startups are gonna make mistakes,
They're
right?
going to make mistakes for sure,
And
for
we're gonna
sure.
misjudge people because we went to school with this girl or this man, and we trust them, so we got them leading our organization, and they fingers got sticky because they started thinking about self instead of the community. That's a mishap. It's unfortunate. Okay, so if we move from that place and go to this and have the same problem, then it's time to change something. It's time to change some policies and procedure. It's time to maybe consider a consultant, or it's probably time to listen to someone who has the knowledge that is not in a quote unquote leadership role. I'm not in a leadership role in a lot of things. Some things I am, but some things I'm not. But you have to look at who's bringing you the information. You have to look at, okay, how do they fit into what whether it's the lupus community or whether it's baking cakes, whatever it is. If Betty Crocker is coming to you, Savannah, to say, hey, you selling cakes and I got the perfect recipe for you. And then Joe, who's a mechanic, comes in and say, hey, Savannah, I got the perfect cake recipe for you. It's my grandmother's recipe. So you're going to look at, okay, I got Betty Crocker, who's well known, national company, right? Great sales, right?
For sure.
Joe, he's nice, okay. He look all right, but I don't know his grandmother. I don't know him, and I don't know how long she's been making these cakes, right? So you're going to make the business decision probably to go with Betty Crocker and her new cake recipe, is what I think.
Sure. It only
But
makes sense.
but say you didn't like Betty's hair that day, or her earrings that day, or she, questioned you and you didn't like it. So you can be, I'm gonna go with Joe and his recipe because, and that's a person. You base that on personal and emotion. You cannot do that in business. You need to take that cake recipe and go out there and make the best cakes, and and leave personal.
That's true. And
So you have to get with like-minded people that can do that. And you
For
don't
sure.
want the people that'll tell you, oh, you're bored, and say, well, Savannah, I don't want to get in the middle of Betty Crockett and Joe. There is no middle when you're doing business. It's either right or it's wrong.
For sure.
It is not the person. It's not the person's wrong or right. You just need to do what is right. So if Betty Crocker is well known and has a track record in this area, go with that. Forget about the personal, forget about all the other stuff. But people can't do that. They when you're mixed up with friends and family, it's really hard to have that objectivity. And that's a big mistake I see in a few nonprofits. Not a lot, but it happens. And financial mismanagement.
You can say that
Yeah.
for everything.
And I do have some links for your guy to drop for people. They should check out organizations in the lupus community or outside. This could be anything. charitycheck101.org. So that's charitycheck101.org. You can go on that website. You can pop in that charity. And it'll give you some information. It's not going to give you everything, but that's a way to start. Charitywatch.org and guidestar.org. You may see things like tax filings. You may see things like assets. You may see things like the year, when they went into business. You could do further research to see who the board members are and kind of look at bios of them. I mean, people need to just pay a little bit more attention.
For sure. Thank you so much for that. I do know that we talked a little bit about mission statement and vision statement. So the difference between a mission and a vision statement, why is a strong mission statement so important, and how does it shape what an organization actually does?
So I'd rather people focus on a true mission statement versus a strong one, because you could have a strong one and it not be real. So I would say the whole thing of your mission statement is what's going to capture people and whether they feel you can accomplish that to make an impact. So you can have a simple vision statement that says your vision is that there is no more hunger in the world. It's just something simple. Okay. Or you can beef that up and make that mission statement more elaborate and add 2 or 3 more sentences to it. You want it to be something that is attainable and doable and that will have an impact, because that is truly how people gauge whether they can donate and support financially that cause. Is it something that can make an impact? Everything is not important to everybody. There is a hierarchy in this country about what people feel is important. Healthcare is one of them, but that's going to depend on who it is. So we've already talked about this a lot in our lupus community, is how we get very little radio time, TV time, commercial time. This is an illness that affects primarily women, 90% women. And out of that, majority of women of color, it could be brown, black, Asian, Latina. So is that going to capture folks versus let's say heart or dementia? Because look at the pool of people that affects. So that's going to come into play as to what type of impact. Is it an impact toward everyone? Is it an impact toward a select group? When it's an impact towards a select group, you're going to have limited funding. You're going to have limited sponsors and donors and people that donate to that. That's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean the mission statement wasn't strong. We just know that we're behind the 8 ball with this because of those demographics.
For sure.
Of lupus, right?
For sure. Thank you so much for that. We often hear the team due diligence when it comes to supporting organizations. What does doing your due diligence really mean, and how can the average person do it?
Doing your due diligence with these organizations. So again, people know, excuse me, know names like Red Cross, Salvation Army, Feed the Children, World Hunger. Doing your due diligence means checking out these organizations, checking out their leadership and their structure. Uh, Go online and find the information. See who's leading. I mentioned this before. Check board members. See their website. See newspaper articles. Go on Yahoo Finance. Look up nonprofits. See what that business has been doing. See if the monies that are collected, can you see that in the community? Can you see where it's going? Do they have any metrics or numbers for you of where? Now, under $50,000 organizations, you won't see much with that. And if you call and ask them and they don't want to show you anything, I probably wouldn't support that. The bigger ones have it online and you can see where they're donating to, where they are putting the funds. So that's what doing your due diligence means. It could be a new startup nonprofit. So at that point, you want to go in a hold, wait and see. Maybe send $100, but then wait. Don't send nothing big until you kind of see what they're about. See if the action is matching the words. See if the action is matching the vision statement. So if you have an organization who says they want to do lupus awareness and lupus education, okay, just go to their website and see if they're doing that. Look under their past events and see what's there. I mean, if it's, feed the children or feed the hungry, go on their website, see what impact and what communities have they helped feed. Where have they sent food? Where's this food pantry? Where's the food coming from? Who's supplying it? You want to look at those things. So that's doing your due diligence, because people will get over on us. We're vulnerable. A lot of us, and when I say us, I'm speaking of the lupus community here. And that's men and women. We want to feel a part of something. Some of us have lost friends. You've talked about this lots on your show in different segments about the anxiety, depression, the fatigue, all that still comes to play, that you lose your friends and your connections because you're sick half the time or in the hospital half the time or hooked up on dialysis the other half of the time. So when some organization comes along and say, hey, we got a place for you and come over here and we're doing this and we're doing that, you're vulnerable because that's what you need. You want those types of relationships. And those are good relationships to have. To have camaraderie with other people that share your, lupus, that's amazing. But you're vulnerable. So do due diligence and check them out as well. Somebody asked me in the lupus community to tag team with them on something. And I asked about the board and they told me they didn't have a board yet. I said, but you're a nonprofit. You should have a board. And they said that it's been rough getting, they've had trouble getting board members. So I kind of was like, well, let me just wait. I didn't want to step too deep into that. I can support them, but without going 100% in. You know what I mean? Because I'd rather the structure and the foundation be right. Because when the structure and foundation is not right, you're liable to have problems. And that's when some inside person is going to have sticky fingers or start having a self-interest versus community interest.
For sure. Thank you so much for that. So, Dr. G, is your background in nonprofit work, or was this something you were caught into through the life experience?
Not work at all. Half of it was surrounding my lupus and getting connected to organizations that are lupus advocacy or awareness type of organizations, nonprofit. The other was one is social, and one is I have a grandson who has special needs, so that prompted um, my work with Aspire. And then my work with Disability Lead, I received like a grant through work to attend this leadership conference, this leadership program. So it was like a year, I think. So I guess you could say one was work and one is social, the other one is personal, and two were related to lupus.
So all around. The whole
Not a paid,
360.
like I'm not a paid, I'm not, a
Right.
member on any of these organizations. Yeah.
Okay, okay. We're going to be moving on to the lupus community specifically.
Yeah.
Speaking from your experiences, what are some of the biggest concerns or challenges you see with nonprofits that serve the lupus community?
I think that's the same that I mentioned a little while ago,
Okay,
with the setup, with the startup, with the board, with the leadership. I mean, that was a general across the board
okay,
response, and it fits into the lupus community organizations as well. Um, yeah. Now,
okay,
I would say more on the middle to smaller level organizations. So LFA is what I would consider a large, Lupus Foundation of America. That's rather
for sure.
large, okay, in across the country. I'm affiliated with LSI, Lupus Society of Illinois. I consider that medium scale, um, and by the numbers that they reach and the people that they serve. So with that large and that medium, um, I don't recall any concerns that I've had with those two,
Okay.
but I don't think there are any issues specific to the lupus community. I think in general with nonprofits, that's across the board, those things that I mentioned before.
Earlier. Okay. What type of nonprofits do you typically see in the lupus space? Are they mostly awareness based, research focused, or support driven?
I see a lot of advocacy and awareness, education. So I see research, and that's a bigger company. And the smaller ones, I see more like support networks, like online support groups that then do other stuff. So what I mean by other stuff, they may extend that out to other autoimmune, or they may elevate that from support groups to doing certain charity events or certain drives, whether it's a blood drive or kidney drive or something kind of related into the lupus as well. Because we need blood, some people need blood transfusion, need dialysis, need kidney transplants, and the whole bit. So I do see a lot in the smaller organizations that the mission the mission starts out one thing, but they do another or add. So I don't know at that point, do you go back and tweak your mission statement? So that's food
So
for
how do you
thought. When
feel about that? So okay, so let's talk about that. So their mission can be one thing, but they're doing their mission and they actually doing other things. So do you think they should add that on to their mission once they figure out that this is something that they want to, you know, dive into?
um, so that could be twofold, because if it is something that enhances the mission and is like falls under a subcategory, then that's good. But if it's something totally different, so I'm gonna give you an example. If your nonprofit is set up to do awareness and advocacy on lupus, but then somehow in that you are doing toys for tots. If those toys for tots are geared to lupus pediatric population or to children of lupus warriors, then that is a tie-in. But if you jump from that to go into doing something about something that's not related, then that's confusing to your donors and your sponsors and the people that hold you accountable, your stakeholders. So does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
That makes great
So you
sense.
can tie it in. For instance, you tie in, okay, your lupus has no face. So I think your mission is to bring awareness and advocate on lupus, right? But under that, you will talk about subtopics that highlight professional lupus warriors. You might have a subtopic or category to talk about health disparities with, or not even health disparities, but similarities between other common illnesses that plague the Black and Brown community. So you might do a series on lupus, MS, sickle cell, and talk about how they're related in a sense of symptoms. That's still raising awareness on lupus, but we've added in some other education. So that's not far off the mark. But if you all of a sudden now are talking about the stock market and the Fed rate
What are
and the
we doing?
housing market, that might confuse people. Unless you're tying it to wifey, women investing for financial independence, who happen to be 3 lupus warriors that flip real estate. So it depends, Savannah. So you see how that could go?
Yes,
You see what I mean? How it could start one way and end up somewhere else?
that's
But
right.
it
And
could
when
make sense, but then it could not make sense. It depends on how you line it up. Like you talked, like the last time we spoke in this platform, it was the doctoral lupus warriors doctoral journey, right? So you're
yes,
saying, hey, we might have lupus, we might have this thing, but we still can accomplish, we still can strive for our dream, right? So that ties in.
I get it. I
Now, if you go talk about the mountains, or talk about skiing in Colorado, then I would be a little concerned about you.
So you guys, when you are switching stuff up often your mission, you need to go revisit, okay? Because people are going to raise their eyebrows, especially if you're dealing with someone that's educated and that does their research. So you don't want to come looking like you don't got the things together. My God, you're so fun. Um, in your opinion, what's missing in the nonprofit space for people living with lupus?
What's missing in the nonprofit space for people living with lupus is support on a larger scale, and that can go many ways. So I'm going to explain it and break it down just a little bit. You go to a heart walk, and nothing wrong with a heart disease and supporting that. You have several thousand people walking. You go to a lupus walk, you might have a few hundred or 100. It's like, it's hard to get people out. It's hard to get people physical presence. Forget about the dollars and the money that can help do things, right? We want to give scholarships too. We want to fund research too. We want to do these things too. We want to do back to school drives for, it's a whole pediatric lupus population. What's missing is the corporate stepping up to sponsor us. That's missing. Not one commercial ever have I seen about lupus or medication or drug to treat it. That's missing. So we miss that. And I want to say recognition because that's not the right word, but we haven't suffered enough. We haven't died enough. We haven't been impacted enough to reach that scale where I feel like people know what lupus is.
I do have to agree with you. That is one of my goals, is to have one of the radio stations for Lupus Awareness Month, or to say something about lupus, because life is not fair, but lupus is affecting a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
lupus and cancer somewhat go hand in hand, and a lot of lupus warriors have other autoimmune diseases, and all those other immune diseases are recognized, but something is not connecting with the lupus and the people, the support. Like you said, something is not connecting. I don't know if they don't want to accept it because it's an invisible illness that you can't detect of us being sick. Like, I don't know what it is, but we are not getting.
Well, you have to look at the population who gets it. Okay, so
That is true.
big money that comes to maybe Alzheimer's or heart disease, that could be legacy money. Families that have, or organizations and businesses that have supported these for generations due to the grandmother or the great grandma or the dad's uncle, some familial tie. With us, with the lupus population, we already talked about statistics of how this affects more so in the African American community. So when you look at disposable income to support donations, and sometimes our families, usually the typical African American family is raised on pay your tithes in church. We don't so much hear about supporting this organization or this nonprofit. Not saying that some families don't. I'm just saying that wasn't what I got growing up. I grew into this right here. And I grew into this probably in my mid 20s of giving back, doing certain community things. But if you are not taught it and raised with it, then you get it later. But then by then you might be disabled. You might be on a fixed income. Now you barely paying rent and barely getting your food. So it's not on your brain to say, let me support lupus cause. So the people who are in position to support lupus cause, it's going to have to be the ones in the community, the ones who are still able to work, the ones who are still able to network, the ones who are still able to speak intelligently on it and reach networks and other people. So that's my thinking with it. Yeah, it would be nice to get a star or somebody famous to jump on our campaign and visibly do it. I mean, I know there's a few that do some things here and there. Some famous people, actresses, actors, singers that do benefit concerts and stuff. So it's some, but that usually is into the LFA, Lupus Foundation of America. And so that usually gets folded into those larger organizations. The mom and pop nonprofits never gets any of that or sees that. So we have
And
to
not
do it.
Yes, and not to even spend too much time on that, because we can have a whole episode on this. But the thing is, like, for some odd reason, when someone talk about cancer versus lupus, it's totally in two different worlds. It's like, if someone get diagnosed with cancer, you're going to do your research, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But for someone to get diagnosed with lupus, you don't do no research. You go off of, oh, I've heard, or oh yeah, this friend of a friend had it, and you still don't know what it is to this day. So, like,
Yeah.
again, I don't know what is the disconnect when it comes to lupus, of why people are not educating themselves or don't want to know about it. And it's a lot of famous people that has lupus that are not as loud as the ones who has cancer, to bring awareness to lupus, if you ask me.
A lot of it is the connection. Like, you care about what you're connected to. So most donors for larger organizations, they have a connection. Sometimes it's a personal story. They may have had a wife pass away from breast cancer. They could have had, a child with lymphoma that died, so that personal connect sometimes. So remember with fundraising, it's twofold. One is the impact. So we already talked about the community that lupus strikes. And so is that an impact enough for people to say, oh, let's do something with this? if it's touching mostly in the population of women of color, 10% of men, and there's affects white people as well, but the majority of what's impacted by that is what? Okay, so then you have the impact, and then you have the relationship. So donors and supporters need a relationship, whether that's going to be networking, personal, business. A lot of my networks are business, through work, through other things. And I have I would say a decent sized network. I mean, it could be huger, but I have, but those people, I can't say how many support the cause of lupus, or is it the support of me. And I think I had one person say, it's you, whatever your hand is in, I support because it's you. So they could care less if it's lupus, heart disease, Alzheimer's, needy kids, backpack drive. They don't care. If my name is with it and I go to them, they will help me. But it's not. So that's the relationship piece. The impact piece is they know. I usually send proof of what I'm doing, whether it's like this link for your show. I sent it out to people because I want them to see that I do these things.
Oh, you do.
I take pictures at the wall because I want them to see where that support is going, right? The
For sure.
scholarships. The scholarships, I want them to see that,
We see
because
that. We was there.
then
We
they
went.
know, they don't have to wonder, well, I supported that, but what really happened? I was fortunate with some help of a few people to give 2 young men scholarships. So that's an incredible feeling. But that's
And
not about me. My graduation wasn't about me, Savannah. It was about other people. I made it
you made
about
that
other
very
people.
clear.
This has very little to do with me.
Thank you so much. The dinner was so wonderful. Like, oh my God. I didn't even need all that food. You definitely did your thing.
You're welcome.
She definitely did her thing. But too, like when I started off as my nonprofit, it was a lot of people that I was helping, but that did not want to be in the public. And I struggled with that for a couple of years until I was like, okay, I know how to do it now. Because I'm like, people need to know where this money is going to. They need to see what I am doing, because I will want to see what you're doing with the money that I am giving you. So I learned how to still make it public without putting those people private business in public, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I've donated, and I sometimes, you have a lot of time on your hands or whatever. You sit back and be like, what is this person doing? I done gave them this and gave them that, and I haven't heard about them, haven't seen anything. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what are they doing? And I had a
Yeah.
full blown conversation not too long ago with this particular person, because this person that I was donating to, like, they were pretty expensive. And I just was like, what are they doing with the money?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anything. So I definitely understand what you're saying. And it is on us to take accountability, to do our
Yeah.
research and our due diligence, because
Yeah.
we are vulnerable and we do, we want to be a
Yeah.
part of things because of
Yeah.
how we are. So that is true.
And I would say for the membership based organizations that are set up as nonprofit, what's being done should be done on an organizational level, not on an individual level. So if you're involved in an organization and I'm involved in the same organization and we got 30 other people involved in the same organization, um, our the combined efforts should be organizational, not 2, 3 people here. And I know that that's come up to me, on the sideline. Um, and I've expressed concern about that. So yeah, it's always somebody watching. Just know that it's always somebody watching nonprofits. Is always an eagle eye. And the takeaway here is we must learn from mistakes and make a concerted effort not to repeat the mistakes. And that's going to come only through doing something different. Because when you change nothing, you reap the same thing.
For sure. And I just want to thank you too. I have reached out to you numerous different times to ask your opinion or your thought process because I don't have the time to do my due diligence because my time is elsewhere. But I know that you were once aware or once involved to just ask you personal questions, and you brought something up about this one particular organization, and it's like, I never sat back and thought about that. Or you right, like
Think about it.
that is crazy. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how can you have someone leading you if they are not walking in the same light of the mission or leading you to? And that was right there. That was just an answer to my question. Like, you are absolutely
Yeah.
right.
So with leadership, again, you got to just be mindful that position and title is one thing. True leadership is something totally different. A smart organization is going to value and respect their key people. And the key people are going to be the ones that, if a stakeholder has to have a connection or an example of what you do, if you know you got 5 or 6 or 10 that will be a good example, then value those 10 people. Not saying that they're special or better than anybody else, but that's the voice of reason when people don't want to make decisions based on business. Then look at who it is. Is she in the lupus community? Does she make sense? Is she knowledgeable? Okay, that is a good idea. Let's try that instead of an automatic, no, 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 we're not going to do that. That cripples a business because you don't have your brightest ideas being pushed and carried forward. Businesses don't grow without different ideas every so often to keep it fresh, to keep it moving, to keep it growing. You get to a point where you're stagnant, okay? And nobody wants to just be standing on the same square.
For sure.
5 or 6 years later, you on the same square. And it's mostly because not listening or being receptive to good ideas based on personal instead of basing decisions on the business at hand. I don't know a lot, but you got my business acumen stuff right in your face, right? I sent you the email.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm not just getting on here just saying some stuff.
I've been a part of some of your things. I've seen things you showing up for me. So it's not a question. Like, I can look up one day and just see some stuff, research you, and you'll pop up. But the other person I did not see anything. And I'm like, dang, how can I not have paid attention to that? I was like, wow, okay, I got my answer.
You got your answer.
That doesn't make sense. I can't be led by someone that's not doing what they say they are supposed to be doing. So it's kind of like,
That's all I'm trying to say. But we need people at all levels. We need back end people. We need front end people, because you don't want everybody in front of your business. Everybody can't speak. Everybody, you got to have some people skills, right? That's not everybody's forte. So let the people skill people kind of be in the front, where you're going to have the chance to encounter other people that can help pull the organization forward or help you when you're trying to have these community events. You want that person to kind of be more in the back, do what they're special at doing, whether that's policy and procedure or, training or whatever it is. But then I'd say key, not the most important, but key people are people who can bring information to you, bring other people to you, and help you grow by helping you expand your networks, which helps expand your donors and your supporters. Nonprofits need donors and supporters. You cannot be a nonprofit without it, period.
That's it. And you got to be able to use your people, the strength.
Use the talents where they best fit, not where you think they should fit.
And no, that's where the emotion got to get cut out at.
Emotions mean, at the end of the day, that's like the kid you give them the pacifier. That's the emotion. And people want, the tendency is to pacify instead of handle the business at hand.
For sure. Woo.
I know.
Okay.
I be saying stuff that just take you there,
No,
don't I?
I just be wanting to get off track. So I'm like, we can talk about a whole segment of this because,
No, don't be
yeah.
trying to get me on your show for 2 hours. You already prepping that. Talking about, oh, we need another segment, girl.
Okay, looking ahead, do you see yourself starting a nonprofit or expanding the work you're already doing?
I, so I'm in the process of setting up a business. It's not a nonprofit though. I am passionate about what I do. So I'm a little stagnant in a sense with my lupus. I mean, I do my lupus support group monthly. I got the lupus walk coming up. We got the jazz
When
concert
is your
coming up.
lupus walk? When is your lupus walk and when is the
Lupus
jazz?
walk is Naperville Pavilion at the Naperville Riverwalk Pavilion. It's August 9th. That's a Saturday. But Friday night is the Lupus Awareness Jazz Concert. Now, I know it's not May, but you know, lupus warriors can celebrate lupus awareness anytime. And I was busy in May. I was getting busy walking the stage, so I could pull off the concert. But it's coming August 8th.
So
So
we will
get your
be dropping
ticket.
that in the
Out. Get
chat,
a
you
ticket this
guys.
year, Savannah.
I was at the year before. I know I missed one year. I don't know. It was last year or the year before. I
Girl,
was
you
there.
came, but you didn't get no ticket. You got in on your good looks.
Okay.
Don't be
Okay.
playing.
I'm gonna donate and get my ticket. I'm gonna donate and get my ticket. We definitely gonna put that in there. Y'all definitely don't want to miss it. You do not have to be a lupus warrior, but come support. It means everything. You would definitely have a good time.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and you know that band is tight. You know
that band is
Dion
dope.
Langley and BKS get down. So
Man, listen, they had the kids jamming to that. So
the kids was jamming to that, and you saw that was the music at the dinner party.
yeah,
Bam.
yes.
We
So
have to promote us in the lupus community. Nobody is
we
going to
got
just do it.
to. We are. It's unity. There's no competition in anything. You do things different. I do things different. There's no competition. We both lupus warriors. Like
Yeah,
we
we do
definitely
things
have
different because I don't sleep standing up, Savannah.
that was private. That's supposed to be private.
You know I can't let you off the hook with that.
Y'all have me now. So I don't recall. I'll plead the fifth.
You
That's what
plead the
y'all say
fifth?
I do.
Okay. We had you though. We had you. We
Y'all
had
had me.
you.
Y'all had me. I was there in 2.25 seconds. So that is so funny. Y'all have not let me down.
But
Okay.
possibly, I never say never. I don't know if I'll start a nonprofit. I am in the midst of setting up a business, a family business. So
Oh, I
uh,
know about that. So when you get everything up and rolling, I do want to know the exclusive of that.
I just need a couple. I might have it by the end of the summer up and rolling. I mean, it's been.
Well, you will be here to broadcast it. So
Girl, see, I told you was trying to get me back on the show.
you look
I said,
how
you think you're
good you are.
special. You think you're special now.
I mean, well, I am the little sister, you know.
You know, my friends think we have a good rapport. They say, you and her are funny together. Y'all should do more. It's like comedy, but it's fun because you guys make it entertaining. I mean, like, it's nothing but love.
All love. That's what happens when you have genuinely love in the air.
Yep.
Friends, they know what they see. They know what they see. So listen, if you are monitoring someone who wants to create a nonprofit for lupus or chronic illness, what's the first piece of advice you would give them?
Um, well, I would first ask what is the motivation and what is the drive? Because just because they have the chronic illness and they want to start this nonprofit, or they
Yes, they have it.
mhm.
Yes, they
I
have
would
it.
tell them first before they started to take a year to build support and networks before starting, and that looks like this. People you may know, but you can just say, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting an organization for Crohn's disease." Let's just say that. And they might be, well, what's Crohn's? And so that conversation starts. So that person, I would say, few months, 6 months up, start putting that idea in heads, start introducing it to people, start discussing it before you actually get there. So then when you have your opening, your grand opening, then these people are not, well, what's this about? What's this? Or what? Because they kind of didn't know something about it. Now that relationship has been built. Remember, I told you impact and relationship. That's the two things. Those are the two key things, right? So that person, I would advise them to work on their relationships first. And I'm not talking about their wife and girlfriend. I'm talking about people in the community. I'm talking about potential stakeholders, potential board members. It's not easy to get people to serve on these smaller lupus organizations boards. It's not easy because board members serve for a few reasons. One, they must be passionate about or have an interest in that topic. But two, a lot of them, want it on their resume. They want to show that they're giving back in some way. And those are good things, but we got to still do due diligence. And that's what I would recommend to that person, is to start building those networks ahead of time. Because I see too many businesses just that are lupus awareness, advocacy, small organizations. They don't have support. They have a walk. They might have 3, maybe 5 people show up. And it's not that that's a bad idea. It's because they didn't develop those relationships.
For sure. So you guys, there will be tips in the comments below. She does have a lupus walk coming up in August 9th. The jazz concert will be August 8th. We will definitely put that in comments. If you are not able to attend, donations are greatly appreciated. You definitely can look her up to see where it's going. So before we leave, because I don't like this to go over an hour because your time is very important.
Yeah, you got me. You got me today. You about 8 minutes over. Don't see, you're lucky I'm not billing, because baby, that bill for 8 minutes.
What is some takeaways? What is some takeaways of today?
Girl, I've been giving you takeaways all night. I said, takeaway. Takeaway. Due diligence. Takeaway. Research your organization. Research the leadership. Research the board members. But if you're thinking of new startup, build your connections and network of people and supporters first. So you're not just there with this organization with nobody supporting you and knowing what you're doing. So those are 2 huge ones. And the last one would be this. We all make mistakes. Once, okay. 2 times, we need to change some things, because you're leading into a third and you want to have some new things in place. Not just new people, but new things, new policies, new procedures, have a seminar, bring in a consultant. Like, it's okay to invest that time to get it right. Don't be so in a rush to let's get moving, when let's get moving should have maybe happened 8 months ago on a slower progressive plan. That's how transitions are done. They're not done overnight.
For sure. So you guys, make sure, if you don't know, you always can look for things, research things, ask someone who's already been in business forever. Do your research, do your due diligence is very, very important. It will save you a lot of time and money. Okay. Again, we do have a lupus walk coming up August 8th, 9th, and we have a jazz 9th. Okay. And then the jazz concert is August 8th. It is in Illinois. We'll be dropping that in a link, you guys. If you guys are not able to make it, donations are greatly, greatly appreciated. And I thank you so much for coming on. You are like a regular now because you're so knowledgeable.
Oh my God. See, you trying it. I feel
so
you.
Much for coming on. While you are in Tampa, and being educated and upscaling on a ladder in your Zeta Phi Beta Lupus sorority. I said Lupus sorority. So thank you so much for taking out the time for coming on to Lupus Has No Face
Yeah, because
podcast. We greatly
I took
appreciate
off
you.
blue and white. I was all in my stuff. I said, oh, let me change this. So,
You better not be having no blue and white on this purple even.
and the frat was like, "When you come on?" So I said, "I have to get on a podcast." Like he said, "Well, what time is that?" I said, "Like an hour." Oh, well, you got time? Stay down here. I said, "No, I need to go review my notes. I need to be
That's
ready."
why you
So
was
that's
late.
why I wasn't
That's
early. But I left. I got up and left. They said, "Well, you coming back after?" I was like, "No, because I got to prepare for my class tomorrow." Like I didn't read my homework.
oh, okay. Okay.
These
Okay.
conferences ain't no
You
joke,
always
baby. They the real deal. So it's like I want to be able to talk and make sense and snap it out.
and you always do that with ease. So thank you for all of our listeners that showed up today. Please comment, share, and subscribe. We will respond back. Again, we are
You
here
don't have
every
to tell me how
Wednesday.
good the numbers be when I'm on the show because I'll
No,
be sitting there listening.
I got
No,
some
you
stuff
need to be
for you.
paying me, girl. No,
I'm number 3, okay, in the nation. I gotta show you them numbers,
you
okay?
got to show me your
So
numbers, baby.
I gotta show you these numbers. I'm gonna put them up for you guys. You see how we going at it and we on this show. No, listen, you guys. No, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. We will respond. We are here every Wednesday at 6:30 on all platforms. If you missed this today, go on Lupus Has No Face podcast on YouTube to replay. Till next time.